The ins and outs of community resources with PACER's project launch and the Disability Hub Minnesota. The speakers for today are Lauren and Marcy, who are community capacity builders at the Disability Hub Minnesota.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Lauren. I work at Disability Hub MN. Today, we're very happy to be here to talk a little bit more about navigating government resources and community resources and government programs. And I'm here with my community capacity builder at the Hub. Her name is Marcy, and I'll let her introduce herself as well.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here. Can't wait to share some information.
So first thing, what is the Disability Hub? We are a free statewide network. We provide resources and information about government programs and community resources. We are meant to be a simple and single access point for individuals to come to when they need help and navigation through the various systems that they're involved in. We are also a neutral resource, so we do not have any bias towards any one provider or agency. So we just our goal is to really provide people options and choices and allow them to make decisions that are based solidly in good information. So the team of people that work for the Hub are called options counselors. And they are sort of trained to help people take the different pieces of their life that they're working with and put them together into sort of an overall picture or roadmap. So a little bit more about the people that work on our team. So initially they go through a pretty rigorous 6 to 8 week training before they ever reach the phones or chats. And so they are sort of given a boot camp of all of the different programs that are available in Minnesota as well as federally, and then how to find resources and help people get connected to resources. But on top of that initial training, we try to stay current with the changes that occur. We have ongoing monthly training topics that are about different things that are happening in the community. So for example, a lot of the past 2 years have been trainings revolving around COVID-19 and the different impact that's had on people's benefits and different impacts it's had on people's access to services. Some of our options counselors, including Marcy and myself, have additional outside expertise that help us with our work. So for example, we are what is known as a CPWIC, or Community Partner Work Incentive Coordinator, which just means we have extra in-depth knowledge about work and income and how that will affect benefits. And we can provide counseling for people on that. So for who we help, we really help just about anybody. There's no eligibility requirements to reach out to our agency. We do work on sort of all sides of life. We do work with professionals like case managers and social workers or eligibility specialists. But we also work with individuals with or without a disability and their family, friends, and advocates. So we really just aim to be a good resource for anybody who would be interested in our service. We like to say that you can ask us anything, and really we over the years have been asked just about every question I think that exists. But some of the more common things that we deal with are, what are my health insurance options? Things like Medicare, medical assistance, employer sponsored coverage. We can talk through the various reasons why different programs would be helpful for different reasons. How can I be more involved in my community to try to, we were just talking before this webinar started about how we've been working from home for a large portion of the last 2 years. And so, how do we get connected again with the community? Can I live where I want and get the help that I need? So talking about the different types of living arrangements that exist, how to pay for them, how to set up services within housing, how can I learn new skills to reach my goals? So maybe that's whether that be training for employment or just increasing skills in a hobby, taking classes, that kind of thing we can talk through. Can I work or work more? That's a big one that we work with because we have a number of staff who are specialized in understanding work and its impact on benefits. And so that follows the last question, is what happens to my benefits when I earn more money? So for the calls that we take and the chats that we take, we try to explore all areas of a person's life, whether that be health, community, housing, work, independence, or money. We go through a discovery process, so we really try to make it a conversation with the person who calls and sort of meet them where they're at in terms of what they're looking for. So they may call in about one issue, but through conversation and exploration, we can find out that we might be able to assist in another area of life. So what's really interesting to us, or what we're really trying to do, is find out what's important to a person, help them set goals, and also help them, take steps to reach those goals. The services that we provide, options counseling is sort of our bread and butter service, and that's really where we provide, the information about what options a person has available to them in a particular scenario. So whether it be their health insurance or their education or their work or their daily lives, we want to provide them information about programs and resources in the community so that they know what their options are and they can make educated decisions about reaching their goals. Information referral assistance is where we would provide contact information and or call with an individual out to an outside agency, get them connected to an outside resource outside of the hub. Follow along is a little bit more specialized. It's for people who have a number of goals and or are experiencing a number of barriers to getting those goals. And then they are allowed to work or able to work one-on-one with a staff to sort of work through some of those action plans and steps towards those goals. So it's more of a long-term service rather than just 1 or 2 phone calls that the average person needs. And then capacity building is what me and Marcy do as a title, but also what we at the hub kind of do with individuals, and that is just building their capacity to understanding some of these programs and kind of helping themselves to feel more able to sort of tackle some of these barriers on their own. So some of the tools that we have access to that we're gonna go over a few of these today, but things that we really like to get people connected to. Our own website is disabilityhubmn.org, and that has a number of helpful articles and bite-sized little snippets about topics and then links to outside resources that can kind of help people get started with planning for the future. DB 101 is a specialized website that actually I'm going to be covering, and it's Disability Benefits 101. It's a website all about the benefits that individuals with disabilities receive, both in the state and the federal level. And then it also has pretty detailed information about eligibility for those benefits, application, as well as what work might impact or how work might impact those benefits. HB 101 is another website that we have access to that is like DB 101, but it's about housing benefits. So it's Housing Benefits 101 that has a number of helpful activities and articles that are surrounding housing and housing related programming. And Marcy is going to be talking a little bit more in detail about HB 101 and the features on that website a little bit later in the presentation. MinnesotaHealth.info is a resource database for agencies and services in the state of Minnesota that you can go to find service providers, resource agencies, that kind of thing. And then Direct Support Connect is a website where individuals who are looking for a direct support worker can create a profile around what they're looking for in a worker, what kind of hours they have for direct support, and what sort of expertise that they're looking for in a direct support worker. And then a worker can also create their own profile about their skills and availability, and then it matches up people who have similar skills and needs.
Disability Benefits, or DB 101.
Okay, awesome. So this is the homepage of DB 101. Now it is a national website, so you definitely want to make sure that you're heading to the Minnesota page. Otherwise, you're going to get some largely inaccurate state benefit information. So when you go ahead and click on the Minnesota version of DB 101, it'll look something like this. And so on the homepage, there's a top banner about work and benefits, all about how they work together, and you can head to some articles specific to that. There's also what are called benefits planning estimators, and the nice thing about these estimators is that you can take the information about your benefits and information about a work goal, plug all that in, and it'll give you a nice little roadmap and report about how that work is going to impact all of the benefits that you have access to or are receiving. So it's a really nice all-encompassing product that helps you kind of plan for the future when it comes to work. The School and Work Estimator is sort of a complementary one to the Benefits and Work Estimator, and it's specifically designed for people who are both working and in school. There's a couple of work incentives that are specific to that population, so that estimator takes those into account. The MAEPD estimator is medical assistance for employed persons with disabilities, and that is a medical assistance product that is for people who are both working and with a disability, and it allows them to keep MA with no upper income threshold, but they do pay a monthly premium, and so this estimator exists to help you figure out what that premium might look like. A little further down on the page, you get details about cash and health programs. So we can learn more about benefits in specific. And then just underneath that is all about young people and benefits. As we know, young people have a different sort of menu of benefits that they might be eligible for. And so this is very targeted towards that age group and the benefits that they have access to. And then just at the very bottom here are a number of helpful videos that are between 5 and 7 minutes long. And they're just little snippets of information about the different benefits that people have access to. And they cover things like eligibility for those benefits and also how work impacts them. And they're really well done, I would say. And they're actually part of our initial training is to go in and watch all of those videos. And so they give a really good foundational knowledge for benefits and kind of understanding the core elements of those benefits. And then underneath that, there's just a little news section. So any sort of tweets or retweets of things that are going on in the life of DB 101 are there as well. But I'm going to scroll back to the top here, and I'm going to take you through some of the different sections that are on the website. The first section being the work and benefits section. Within that, you'll find articles all about going to work and for people on benefits and what that's going to look like. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of really important articles in here that we've found that people really enjoy and that provide a lot of good information. The first being Getting Past the Myths, the Truth About Working. It's the very first article that's listed. In the work that we do, we come across a lot of these myths that people hear or maybe misunderstandings of the way that work can impact benefits. And so it really helps get to the root of that anxiety and some of those misinformations that float around, whether by sort of hearsay or maybe you had a provider tell you, you can't work and make more than $1,000 or you'll lose your benefits, stuff like that, where it's generalities that kind of gotten passed around and might not necessarily be accurate to the truth. There's information about finding the right job, so information and resources for getting connected to job search agencies and tips for developing your personal skills and finding career. Things about rights and responsibilities, about protection against discrimination in the workplace based on a disability determination, job support, setting up job supports and accommodations. There's information about how to do that, as well as links to different resources and agencies that do provide services to help set up job supports and accommodations. And then the Managing Your Benefits While Working section is all about reporting to government agencies when you do go to work and how that looks like and what the requirements are, because that's a really important piece about managing, or important piece when going to work on benefits is alerting agencies that you are working and working with them to make sure that everything's going smoothly. And then there's just a toolkit that provides all sorts of information, tips and tricks for people who are interested in going to work. On the right-hand side is articles about managing your money. So that is specifically catered to individuals that are looking to sort of build up their assets, but also don't want to maybe lose access to some of those programs that they have that do have asset limits, things like medical assistance and supplemental security income, or SSI, both have a pretty low asset limit. And so that can be a detriment to, once you start making money and you want to maybe save a little bit, there's articles about different ways that you can go about building assets that might help you not jeopardize your benefits. So there's things about like ABLE accounts, PASS, Plan to Achieve Self-Support, individual development accounts, IDAs, things like that. So different strategies someone can do or pursue to start building assets without jeopardizing their benefits. The next section is programs. And programs is really important for finding very specific information about a particular benefit. So if you have interest in SSI or MA, there's a whole article listed that will walk you through eligibility, application, what the decision is, how to appeal, and also again, how work might impact that benefit. And there's sort of separated into two sides. There's the cash side and the healthcare side. And it covers benefits that are both at a federal and a state level. So they have federal cash benefits like Social Security benefits, as well as MSA, SNAP, housing benefits, cash housing benefits, and then things like MA, Medicare, employer coverage, all of that. I do want to point out that those videos from the front page are indicate where they live on articles is indicated by this little icon it looks like a video camera with a play symbol, the triangle on the inside, and that just indicates that one of those videos that were on the front page exists within that article. One or more of those videos exist within this article itself. So if you go to the article itself, they're all pretty much laid out similarly. So they start with just the very basics, like why would I be interested in this benefit? Is this something that potentially I would be eligible for? And then they go through the application phase, understanding the decision, how to report changes. But then they also have sections about how that benefit and work together. And then the last page is always an example of someone who's on that benefit or getting on that benefit. They have frequently asked questions. And then pitfalls is a really important section because it provides information about the things that we see, the common things that we see that can tend to throw a wrench in the works when people are looking at these benefits. If you notice on the left-hand side by each of these sections, some of them have this little wrench and hammer icon. If you click on one of those sections and go to it, that just means it has something called a try it. And these are really neat. So I had mentioned earlier the estimator, and that takes into account every single benefit that you might be receiving and does a whole big estimate on it. But if you just wanted to get a quick and dirty snapshot of one benefit, you can use these try-its. And they're really nice little estimates. So if you just click the blue try it button, and it'll open up the snapshot window, you can enter in your benefit amount. You could enter in, how much you're earning. So let's say, 1,000. What if I got $1,000 a month? And then you hit continue, and it'll show you a really simple little just flow chart of what that might, or not flow chart, bar chart of what that will look like. So this is your today's situation. Blue is representative of your SSI, and green is the work. So you can see pretty clearly that the financial situation, at least with just SSI taken into account, you'll be better off. You'll have more money if you go to work at that $1,000 level. So it kind of gives you a good indicator whether it might be a good decision. It also will give you a little bit of detail about, says you'll be eligible for MA, subject to an asset limit, and also you'll have more income. And then there's a talk to an expert feature, which will link you up to somebody at the hub who can help explain, what you're looking at. So it's a really nice way of getting a really simple, short answer to, specifically rules with work and benefits. So that's the program section. So programs is, again, where you're going to find detailed information about benefits. But the youth section is catered more specifically to young people and benefits. And the nice thing about this is it's split up in articles that are geared towards the young people who are on benefits, and there's also articles that are geared towards parents of young people on benefits. So there's two different perspectives that you can kind of see. So for young people, it talks about, okay, what benefits might you be eligible for? Talks about planning. Are you thinking about getting a higher education? Are you thinking about work? What are your plans around that? And here, let's talk about that as a conversation. On the parent side of thing, it talks more about how work is possible, how to put work into the plan, getting your child on track for work. But then I really like the article Parent Focus Turning 18, because that is a time of very scary transitions in the life of benefits, and so this article really helps prep for that time and provides a lot of details about what you can expect once your child turns 18 with their benefits, and it talks about preparing for that time. So that's the youth and family section. And then the very last section here is actually an application. It's called MyVault. And when you'll see in a bit when Marcy does her end of the presentation, that MyVault lives on a couple of different websites. So it's here on DB 101, but it's also on Housing Benefits 101 or HB 101's website. And it is a really nice little tool. It is a safe place to store files, and also a place to do activities to plan. On the DB 101 end, it's to plan for work, and on the HB 101, there are activities planning for living independently in the community. So I just wanted to take you into the vault on the DB 101 side just to see what's in there and highlight a couple of the nice features of the vault that we think can be very useful for people. So from planning paths, and this is where my computer might get a little slow. For planning paths, there is a number of different activities that you can do. I just want to highlight a couple of them. So the first one I wanted to talk about is called Get a Benefits Lookup. And what's really cool about this is that you submit a request and it goes directly to someone at DHS, and they fill out a form and send it back to you, and it will detail every single benefit that you're receiving at this time based on the state or county's records. So it really empowers you to know what benefits you're on, and you don't have to sit in a call queue waiting to talk to somebody. You can just get a nice handy little form. The other good thing about that is that if you do get a benefits lookup from the state, it's going to take all that information and plug it into the later activities so that it does a little bit of the work for you, so you don't have to figure out where do I plug in this piece of information, and it will go ahead and do that for you if you do a benefits lookup first. So that's a really good and handy thing to do. The next is there's a quick budget feature. So that is an activity where you can input your monthly income and some expenses, and then it'll show you ways that might change based on different scenarios. So here's an example of the outcome of one of a budget. So you can see here on the left, you have income. On the right, they have expenses that you've entered in, but then you can also use these little play with your income, play with your expenses button to get an idea, like a quick picture of what it might look like. So you could add different work goals. So say you wanted to work 20 hours a week, that's what it would look like there. This is the difference between your work and your expenses, but say maybe you want to spend more on a car. Is that possible? So there's a nice sort of way to introduce the concept of managing money, as well as to introduce the possibility of work and how that might be impactful in a person's life. The other one I wanted to mention is see how work and benefits work together. So that is actually the work and benefits estimator that you saw on the first page. The work and benefits estimator can be done without a vault. It doesn't need a vault, but what I will say is if you do it in the vault, it'll save those sessions for you, and you can go back and look at them, as well as if you did a benefits lookup and then an estimator, it will plug that information into the estimator. So I just wanted to show you a quick results page of an estimator as well, just to give you an idea of what it looks like and what it will show you. So in this scenario, I've put in a part-time job for Anita here. And in this plan, so the first thing that you see on the summary page is whether or not you'll be better off. And it will not always say you'll be better off. It will tell you either you are better off or, this might need some work and some tweaking. So we can see on the left-hand side, it provides information about her current situation. And that is, what benefits that she's on. Each of the colored bars represents a different source of income. And on the right-hand side is where she would be in 6 months, given that she includes this work goal. And this work goal happens to be about $1,200 a month. So it shows that decrease in SSI, but that she's still going to have some SNAP and some MSA, and she overall will have more monthly income. It covers all of her benefits, but it also cash benefits, but it also covers her health care. So it says today you have free medical assistance. In 6 months, you'll also have free medical assistance. So it's a nice way to see, okay, what are the changes that I could expect given what I want to do with my work. It also gives you a little bit of details about those benefits. So for example, explaining that yes, your MA is going to continue. There is that asset limit, so that's something you want to keep an eye on. These are all going to be continuing, or it can even tell you, okay, you're going to be eligible for these benefits that you weren't eligible for previously, which is helpful as well. And then they have some more detailed segments of that show like the timeline of things. So that'll show, you know, when this benefit will stop or when you need to report something. And then an even more in-depth breakdown of people's monthly income and expenses. And that can go up to a couple of years in the future to show, I think it's 5 or 6 years into the future, it'll show, you know, how things will change over time given that particular benefit or that particular work goal, excuse me. And you can do more than one work goal at a time. So you can play around with, you know, what if I did part-time versus full-time, or what if I did, you know, a job that paid $20 an hour versus a job that paid $15 an hour, that kind of thing. You can really do a lot with these to show, you know, what to plan for work and not just, you know, react to the way that these agencies are seeing your work income. You can say, okay, based on this, I know that I need to report my income at this time. This is what it should be looking like. And then you can kind of keep yourself on track and organized that way. So that's the benefits and work estimator that lives in the vault and also just lives on the main page. The other one, last one I wanted to mention is manage benefits. And that's a really helpful tool because what you do is you either input your current benefits, or you do a blue and it inputs the benefits for you, and then it will print out a checklist of things that you should do every month in order to maintain those benefits through time. So things like who do you report to, when do you report, that kind of stuff, and it can be really helpful for keeping yourself organized and planful. So that is the vault on DB 101, but Marcy, again, will be sharing a little bit more of that in the future for HB 101.
Example: how would Anita use the resources from disability benefits to assist her?
So we have Anita, and her initial situation that she's reaching out to the hub about is that she's finished her schooling, which is great, and she's interested in going to work. Both her and her family are very excited about the possibility of starting a job, but is apprehensive about the effects that that job might have on benefits and healthcare. So with a call like Anita or a contact like Anita, we're going to go through that discovery process with them. So it's going to include us talking about, you know, how much would you like to earn? What's your ideal, you know, job situation? What are you looking for? When are you going to be starting that job? What are your current benefits? So we're really going to be talking specifically because our concern is about benefits and work. We're going to try to talk about what our current situation is, what our dreams for the future are, and try to utilize that in our discovery process in order to understand what information we need to provide Anita to make the best decisions and what resources we can offer her. So once the discovery piece is over, that's when we can start doing some education piece. So things we might, and this is by no means an exhaustive list of discovery or education, but things that we might do in this situation. We might talk about reporting and how important it is to be reporting at the correct time and to all the correct agencies. We're going to talk about the different healthcare options she might have access to and the eligibility for those healthcare options based on what her work goal is. We might refer her, our Disability Hub MN has a work and benefits service where we can actually put together a work and benefits analysis for her. So we might talk about how she would want to take advantage of that in the future. If she had a job offer on her plate, we can do some more in-depth planning with her, but we're also going to introduce her to those things that we were just talking about and the things that I just showed you. So the website DB 101, we're going to show her where the articles are about young people and benefits. We're going to show her the vault activities that she might want to complete or think about completing for as she's going along with her journey and desire to work. And so we will probably point her to some of those resources as places that she can grow her understanding of how work and benefits work together. So some of the articles that we might show her, and we didn't this time look at our website, but there are articles on our website about living independently, adulthood. There's also tools for planning that are called Charting the Life course tools. So we might point her to those in order to for her to create some sort of plan and goal for the future, as well as talk about the resources that she has access to, and resources areas where she might need to start making more connections. On DB 101, we're obviously, because it's a work and benefits question, we're going to get her to that work and benefits section. We're going to say, hey, if you have any, because her parents might have some anxiety about work and benefits, it might be beneficial for them to read the Getting Past the Myths article, and also information about managing your benefits while working, because being proactive can really help save a lot of heartache down the line when it comes to work and benefits. And then within the vault, we're going to talk about, you can save, you can actually go ahead and there's a little star icon on the articles, and so she could save those that are sort of pertinent to her in her vault, so that she has easy access to them, as well as be able to share them within her vault to other people. So if she has people that she's working with, like maybe she's working with folk rehab, or maybe she's got a friend that's helping her with the job search, she can share those articles with those people, so that everybody kind of has access to that information. We can have her complete some activities, so maybe get a benefits lookup so that she knows what benefits she has, and so that she can at that point be prepared to work through each of those benefits and the effects that work might have. And then like share those articles with people on her support team, so that everybody's on the same page. So in terms of the roles of the hub and roles of the people that might be supporting Anita, we would refer her to those articles. We're not just going to point her to the articles, we will also talk to her about the content of those articles, so we can explain some of the ways that income is taken into consideration for her benefits. So we can explain some of those things, but we're also going to say, hey, the stuff we've talked about, this is all listed right here, and it's available to you to refer back to. We're going to talk about setting up a vault, maybe getting a benefits lookup, starting some of those activities, getting her team together. We might provide referrals to other agencies. So maybe she's not working with folk rehab, but it would be a good idea to work with folk rehab. We might provide her, information about places that offer support, or maybe she's looking for a job accommodation. We can, maybe send her to Jan or things like that. So it just depends on her situation, but we might also have an idea of other agencies that she'd want to get connected with in this process. We also can offer follow-up. So, we can say, hey, we've provided you these resources, we've talked about this information. Would you like to get back together and talk about it again in, a week, or when you get the job, or when you get the job offer, or when you're interviewing, just whatever she would like us to reach back out and connect with her. We are more than happy to do that, to follow her up and support her as she's going through. But the support team can also review those articles so we've had this conversation with Anita, we've shared those DB 101 articles, and support teams can review those with her and have those same conversations. Support teams can also help her setting up a vault, or help her complete some of those activities. And then also the support team themselves can reach out to Disability Hub if they have questions about the content of the information that we provided, or if they, maybe want more information than what we've already have questions about anything. We are there to support Anita, but we're also able to support people on our support team as well. So that, we want to be a part of the process and want to be an access point for people, and not just individuals, but the people that support them as well.
Housing benefits, or HB 101.
So we're going to talk a little bit about HB 101 in the vault, and HB 101 is very, very similar to DB 101, with the exception of DB 101 stands for Disability Benefits 101, and HB 101 stands for Housing Benefits 101. Now, hopefully it goes without saying that housing benefits are not just for people without disabilities, or with disabilities. So people without disabilities as well can access HB 101. We know that housing is incredibly difficult to find safe, secure, affordable housing. And so regardless of disability status, for the people that we are supporting, we hope that this information will be useful. So much like DB 101, again, it's laid out very similarly. There are program pages, and they include articles about different types of housing and different types of programs that help pay for housing programs. It covers things like adult foster care, board and lodge, assisted living, as well as some of the Section 8 and public housing programs. And while we try to cover everything that we possibly can, there's so many possible housing programs that we may not have it all covered, but the basics and who to contact for more information is certainly available on HB 101. And the articles we feel are full of great information from everything about renting, living with others, but also about owning your own home. So what you're seeing on the screen is a picture of the main page of HB 101, and you can see here that it is set up home situations, programs, MyVault, glossary partners, very similarly to HB 101. And this is the programs page that you're seeing. So it's divided into sections: your own place, living on your own, housing that includes services, and that includes that board and lodge, the adult day service or adult foster care. And then what about assistance tied to certain locations? So this is where public housing, housing support, which is formerly known as group residential housing, GRH for short, and then other locations. And this is something like the Section 8 or MSA. There's also Family Unification Program, which is a very unique program that we don't get to hear about as often as maybe we would like, but it's got great information on there. And on the situation pages, it is again laid out similarly. Finding a home, moving out of a facility or a group home or foster care to live more independently, much like Anita is talking about moving on from living with her parents in a little bit, changing their housing. This location doesn't work for me anymore. I can't physically, this living situation doesn't work for me anymore. And homelessness services, as well as keeping your home. We know that families in Minnesota, across the nation, truly have struggled with keeping their home, and that may be a little bit on the rise with COVID and things changing from the state of emergency. So certainly some useful tools included in those situation pages. And this is a screenshot of that situation page. And finding home, start here. Easy enough. This is where we're information to just start looking for housing, because that can be incredibly overwhelming for anyone. Moving out, changing your home. Do we need to fix it? What do we need to move somewhere else? Keeping your housing, and then that homeless services in Minnesota. And that, by clicking on that, it opens up where you can search by county, and it lists out the services within that county for homelessness support. And I will say, Bill had asked about some of our analytics and some of the more used things in regard to HB 101. This is that homeless services in Minnesota here on the right hand side. That likely is one of the most common things accessed on HB 101. It certainly is one of the most common things accessed by our staff. HB 101 Places is relatively new, but it's certainly an exciting tool that's been added to HB 101. This is a tool for finding housing that accepts housing support, again, formerly known as GRH, and it, in addition, can filter by whether or not they accept a waiver, the services that are on site, program type, the size of the home, whether or not they have openings, those sorts of things. And there's a video of how to help with those searches. So this is a screenshot of what it might look like when you're using HB 101. That quick start and the how-to video are certainly a great place to start, and to use those to support someone in exploring My Places. And as you can see here, there's filters, sort by distance. We've sorted the screenshot 10 miles from St. Paul. They have vacancies for a single adult, can serve people with the waiver. It's an adult foster care. So these are all from filters that are drop-down menus. And then it gives you how many programs, and of course you can sort those. A typical search. So Lauren talked about the vault, and she talked about how the vault exists across DB 101 and HB 101. It also exists across our hub website, and it's a single sign-on, one email, one password, and when you sign into one, you can sign into all of them. It saves everything. You can access across those vaults. But what you might find in HB 101, there are so many activities within HB 101, and of course they're addressing the issue of housing. However, something like a communication profile can be used even outside of housing. So there's some great person-centered tools, as well as some like another budget tool that's a little more in depth than the quick budget we saw in DB 101. But these are the main umbrella areas on HB 101 of the vault activities. I get to decide, how do I get started? Housing is huge. I don't know where to start. And these are activities designed to help people explore what they really want and what's important for them in their housing. That housing budget, like I mentioned, it's a more in-depth budget to look at everything from your utilities, your primary housing costs, to pet costs, to adding in that transportation. If I live 10 miles out of town versus if I live right in town, what does that look like? Housing needs and wants. What do I want in a new place? Is it location, location, location? Is that really what's most important to me? Do I need to have a separate bathroom if I were to live with someone? Do I need to have, what sort of accessibility do I need to have? So exploring those and presenting some questions to help people get thinking about what they really need and want in their home. My Day, My Life, this is one that is, again, got some great person-centered activities in it. What help do I need? If I'm living on my own, what sort of supports might I need to bring into my home? What sort of supports do I need to have with me 24/7? Is that even necessary? How can I live in with the independence that I want and utilize the supports that are available to me? Or maybe I don't know what supports are available to me, and I can use these tools to explore that. Presenting myself, that's the next one. How can I make a good impression? Some people have a poor rental history, poor credit, maybe they have a criminal background of some sort. And these are tools and activities to help them work through presenting themselves in the best light, so that living with someone, not everybody thinks about living with someone as their idea of their best idea of being independent and living on their own, but housing is costly. And so maybe this is a way to explore whether or not having a roommate or roommates is the best way to be able to live as independently as possible. And if that is something that works, there is an activity in there that is a roommate agreement, from who's doing the dishes to what does it look like when we have visitors, money-wise, who's paying the rent, who's paying what portion of the rent. And it creates this lovely document that can be printed off and signed by both parties. And it addresses, I can't think of anything that it doesn't address, quite honestly. Whether smoking, drinking, when are quiet hours, don't drink out of the milk carton, those sorts of things are all included in there, and is quite a great tool.
Example: how would Anita use the resources from housing benefits to assist her?
She is now successfully employed, and she's been that way for a while, but she'd like to increase her independence by moving into an apartment or a home of her own. She's not sure where to get started, a move like planning a move like this, not sure whether or not she can even afford it. This is a common thing for people of all walks of life, right? In exploring housing. So that discovery is going to happen again with our options counselor. What kind of housing are you interested in? Would you be interested or in need of services or supports? What's your budget for housing? And of course, while we're doing these things, other questions might come up. So this is not an exhaustive list. What are the things that Anita absolutely needs? And what are things that she'd really like to have in her housing? Is it incredibly important to her to have a dishwasher, or doesn't she care because she enjoys doing dishes? Those sorts of things are, while they may seem simple, are part of our conversation. When we're talking with Anita and sharing information with her, we want to be sure that we're sharing different housing settings with her. What's the difference between board and lodge and adult foster care? What does it look like to live on your own and receive services? How about funding sources or programs to support you living in these different types of situations? And of course, we're going to talk about those HB 101 vault activities. Maybe we'll guide her through some. Maybe she'll do some on her own and share some with us via vault, because she has some questions about the results, or how something, perhaps a suggestion that comes up and she has more questions about it. And then the discussion of independent living services. What does that look like for Anita? Where can she find more information? How can she explore different types of living services? And in Anita's vault, again, as Lauren shared, the vault is tailoring information to meet her unique needs. She can save use for articles as she's going through these, mark tools as favorites, and streamlining that information or streamlining the process of moving and sharing information. So in our first scenario, Anita's parents were involved and had some concerns, some valid, legitimate concerns. And I'm sure the same is going to be true for this situation. And so as they're exploring and reading articles and building their personal capacity, they can share articles back and forth. So the hub role in supporting Anita, of course, it's the referral to HB 101 and the vault activities, and again, assistance, explanation of program rules. This is part of building people's capacity, and referrals to other agencies. Because while we can look at lists and we can provide information, we can't determine eligibility. We can't make sure that the apartment that she loves is within her budget or meets her needs. And so she may need other services to fill any of those gaps and make sure that her needs are being met. How to support her, the rest of her team, whether it's her parents or other people now involved in her life who support her, friends, other advocates, paid or unpaid. Review the articles with Anita. There's great information in there, just like there is in DB 101, and there may be additional information in DB 101 that complements HB 101. Again, working together to set up and complete those vault activities, and contacting the hub for additional information, resources, and referrals as needed. And how to reach us? You can chat with us. You can call us. And those are available options Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. We have federal holidays off, but you can email at any time. We're available to answer emails Monday through Friday as part of our regular workday, but you can, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you wake up with a nagging question about MSA and SSI, or it's Sunday and you want somebody to call you back right away on Monday as soon as they're available, you can email us anytime.
A special thanks to Lauren and Marcy, who are community capacity builders at Disability Hub Minnesota. For more resources, go to pacercenter.org. Pacer Center is here to help. Contact us at transition@pacer.org or pacer@pacer.org, or call us at 952-838-9000, or Look at more of our resources at pacercenter.org/transition.